Thank you, ma'am.
Your deep expertise in European affairs makes you particularly qualified to serve in this role at this critical time. Now, it's clear that Vladimir Putin never anticipated that his illegal invasion of Ukraine would unite so many countries around the world. This committee primarily focuses on our military power, but this crisis has made clear how important it is to invest in all of our tools of influence to advance U.S. interests. Prioritizing diplomacy and coordination with our allies has obviously paid huge dividends. Diplomatic success, however, does not happen overnight. This is the result of long, time-consuming investments. So let me start by asking, General Cavoli, do you think it's important for the United States to provide robust funding for the State Department and USAID?
I do, Senator.
Would you like to just say an extra word about that?
Absolutely. So the United States, like many nations, attempts to lead with diplomacy. As you noted, for diplomacy to be effective, it can't happen at the moment it's needed. It has to be developed over years of relationship building, and that requires resources and funding. I benefit as an officer when our diplomacy is robust. I benefit as an officer, and I think we benefit as a nation when our diplomats are armed the way they need to be to conduct the business of the nation.
Good. I appreciate that. Climate change is another major security challenge that we need to work harder on. The most recent annual threat assessment found, and I want to quote it, climate change will increasingly exacerbate risks to U.S. national security interests, unquote. The world's dependence on fossil fuels and authoritarian petroleum and petrostates significantly undermines our interests in safety. In your response to the committee's advanced policy questions, you said that climate change, quote, will be a critical consideration in all we do. Can you just elaborate a little bit on that, General?
Sure, Senator. First, of course, our national defense strategy lays that out. So it is something that we have to consider in everything we do. But, right now I'm responsible for Army activities in Africa. Africa suffers from desertification. That desertification leads to intense competition for resources. Name your location, you can find it. The grain shortage that we were discussing earlier is exacerbated by an ongoing drought in India. All of this is having an impact inside my AOR in Africa, which will spill out possibly into other areas. So yes, it's something I take thoughtfully and seriously. If we look at my European AOR in my current job, of course, the opening of seaways in the Arctic, which has been increasing and accelerating in recent years, is changing the military geography of the high north, which is something that NATO and US EUCOM are both dealing with as well right now.
Well, I appreciate your thoughtful response here. This is a crisis that often gets overlooked when we're talking about national security. And as you rightly point out, it is deeply threatening to all of us. There's one last area that I'd like to talk about. Over the past few months, Congress has provided tens of billions of dollars in emergency spending to support the department's response to Russia's invasion. I support that spending, but I'm very concerned about the risks of waste without proper oversight. DOD owes this committee a backlog of several years of reports on the future year's defense plan for the European Deterrence Initiative. I've spoken to both your predecessor and DOD about the importance of providing these reports. A letter I received from the controller last week claims that yet another component of DOD will provide the report. Now, I'm getting sick of the runaround here. DOD has not complied with the law. Not having these reports hurts oversight and planning for your command. So, General Cavoli, I understand that this is not your primary responsibility, but you will be the senior military leader overseeing this spending. So will you make sure that this committee receives the reports that are required by law and that we will receive them this year?
I will continue to submit all the data that I'm required to, ma'am. We have done that in the past, and I commit to doing that in the future.
I appreciate that, and I will hold you to that. You know, it's very likely that you and the president will come to us again with additional supplemental requests. If you want Congress to continue to approve tens of billions of dollars, you need to show us how you are making sure that that money is spent responsibly.
Senator, if I could just make a comment, it is not lost on me how much money we're talking about here. And I and we owe it to the American taxpayer to have a thoughtful application of those funds and a full accounting of them.
I appreciate it. Look forward to the reporting. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.